Well, appreciate you guys coming out, we really do. And I know Bobby, the first thing he said when he got here is, how many people are going to be at this thing? So, I don't know if he was concerned there's going to be a huge crowd or there are going to be 3 of us in this room, I don't know. But appreciate you coming out. I won't bore you with a lot of details. You obviously know you're all here to see Bobby Ryan. Bobby last year was the Ducks' leading goal scorer, 35 goals. He's certainly one of the up-and-coming stars of the NHL, not just the Ducks. And he also had a busy year last year, won a silver medal at the Olympics for Team USA. So, so I know you want to see him, you don't want to listen to me, so we'll bring on Bobby Ryan. Not only one of the up-and-coming young stars in the NHL, but also one of the newer, wealthier players in the league. So the one great thing about doing this is sometimes in this job I get to interview guys like Bobby, and a lot of times it's just a one-on-one kind of thing or a small group, and you sometimes ask a question and the athlete can kind of get away without answering or kind of get around the answers, but this is great because all these witnesses now he pretty much has to answer. So I have to ask you, you signed a new deal not long ago, kind of made the papers, made the runs a little bit. So I think everyone knows $25.5 million. So the question I have to ask is, have you bought anything? Did you make that purchase? Did you either for yourself, for your parents, for
what am I putting your new home theater in?
You know what? I haven't. I kind of thought I'd wait till I started getting paid first. But you know what? I've talked about things that I wanted over the years, and all the guys know that I'm very adamant about collecting more and all that. But I haven't made any purchases. I've thought about it and I've kind of toyed around with some things, but for right now, I'm kind of focused on the task at hand. We'll get there though eventually, I think.
Yeah, I would think so, exactly. So I'm curious, that kind of money, a kid from New Jersey, is it surreal? Does it seem like it's happening? When you're even negotiating a contract like that and you're hearing these figures from your agent or whoever, what are you thinking, or is it processing in your mind? What's going on?
It is. The biggest thing that I thought was I'm going into a whole new tax bracket. A deal came across our table early in the summer that wasn't far off from the deal I eventually took. It was for 5 years and 25, and when I got the text from the agent, I was elated. I was like, okay, where's the dotted line? And he said, we can't take this. And not for financial reasons. We had to figure some things out, structurally and team-wise. And when we got those things kind of squared away, we started to figure out the terms. The money was right in that sense, but to be 23 and turn down that kind of money in the middle of the summer, you're like, what am I doing? And where do I go from here? But it's a very surreal feeling. I know at times last year. Getsy would slide his paycheck stub into my stall, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I knew if I continued to play with him in pairs, it might come at some point, but for it to actually happen, it's been such a blessing, it really has.
So, now tell me about that. You mentioned it, but I mean, when you got that text from your agent, and then he's telling you, this isn't good enough, are you thinking, you're fired, or what? I mean, what?
Yes and no. I think I have the same agent as Perry, and we all know that Perry's robbed the Ducks blind 2 years ago. I kind of thought, the guy knows what he's doing, I kind of thought I'd hear him out, and the things he said did make sense, and they know what they're doing, and they're close friends with my family. They had my best interest at heart. So for him to say that, I understood where he was coming from, and we went the route we went. Obviously, it took longer than we thought it would, but we got it done. So ultimately, he gets to keep his job.
One of the things I always wonder about athletes is, and there may be some people in this room who think the same thing, since we all live on we all live in one world, and some of you fortunate guys live in a little bit better world than we do, where you think, well, why does these negotiations, when you hear athletes talk about them being a distraction, or it being something that really weighs heavily on your mind, when in the end you have to figure this is going to happen, that the money's going to be there at the end. So why is it? Why can't you just be secure in the knowledge of, like, eventually I'm going to get paid? Like you mentioned, you thought eventually it would happen. But is it just finally having that deal signed that when you know it's done?
I think so. I mean, this was the longest summer I've ever had to go through and endure. It was painful. I thought, at times I wasn't going to be a Duck. I wasn't going to be living here, and I've made a home here. I love it here. But the biggest thing for me was, when I finally got a chance to talk to Bob Murray on my own, and that's heavily frowned upon in the NHL. Players, when they're negotiating contracts, aren't normally supposed to do that. And we talked, and I knew the money was going to be there. I knew the deal was going to be there. The biggest thing for me was not committing to something that ultimately I would have no leverage in. And that's the business side of it. It's a tough spot to be in, and you want to do what's best for you and your family, and all that going forward. But up until 2 weeks before camp, I really had no clue what was going on. It wasn't until I got to talk to Bob Murray that I finally left a phone call saying, okay, now I know where I'm going to be, now I know what's going to happen. Even after that phone call, it still took another 2 weeks. It really was just, you would talk, and then nothing would happen for 4 or 5 days, and you're getting phone calls from here and there, and you're pulled left and right, and it's an enduring process. It really is.
Another aspect, we'll get off the money issue now, since you can breathe a little easier.
All right.
Something I noticed that you're into, a lot of athletes are, some not, but especially a lot of the younger guys are, is the social media, and you're a Twitter guy. So just talk about that a little bit, if you could, about that aspect of it, and what you try to do. I noticed today you had a comment about fishing. You apparently went fishing today with a couple of teammates. So just talk a little bit about what you try to do with that, what your hope is.
For me, the biggest thing, I knew Joffrey Lupul was involved in it, and he's a guy that really enjoys the social aspects of everything, without saying too much, but I just thought...
Actually, may have already said too much.
My biggest thing was I thought it would be a way, when you play in the Western Conference, the connectivity with the fans is very minimal compared to these other places, and I kind of thought, I talked with my agent, I talked with some friends, I thought it would be a good way to connect and maybe build a fan base. If it goes around myself, great, but I thought maybe for the Ducks, maybe for the Western Conference or the Pacific Division, we have teams in Phoenix, we have teams in Dallas, and we just don't get the fans. Not to say the sport isn't there, don't get me wrong, but we don't get the fans that they get in these Eastern Conferences because the game's an education, and it's never quite taken off like it has on the East Coast. I thought this would be a way, for people to connect with us and have some access to us, and I've been an advocate about getting other guys involved in it, and it's taken off. You're seeing more and more NHL players every week with it, and ultimately, I hope, I try to answer as many questions as I can on there when they're not negative, and people aren't calling me a holdout and all that, but it's been a lot of fun, and ultimately at the end of the day, I just hope the fans enjoy it as much as we do.
So if you Google Bobby's name, I know it comes up there. It's about the 7th or 8th one down, and you can just click on it. It takes you right to his account. And I noticed down there that some of the people that you're following, and if you don't know how Twitter works, you can follow people and then they follow you. And I think Bobby's got